But welcome everybody. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button.
I remember in middle school when you felt self-conscious if you were the last one to go through puberty. That really went topsy-turvy, didn't it?
Sometimes the Hasbara, it's too much explaining yourself and it's too apologetic.
Be sure to hit the notifications bell.
I actually do believe Israel won't just bomb countless civilians.
Be sure to tweet this out. Be sure to put this up on your Facebook.
You have to be kind to people. Being kind is the guys in this mess in the first place.
Put this up on your Reddit.
Chile is a country.
Be sure to cut and paste, cut and paste a link to this to go into your favorite Facebook chat group.
It's good to see so many normal people in here.
Now, spanking isn't just my deep, dark personal secret. It's America's deep, dark secret.
I've never seen it explained so simply anywhere.
Put this on WhatsApp. Put this on Telegram. Put this on your favorite messenger app.
Hello and welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I'm your host, an Untitled Anarchist Seagull called Elise, and I just had a big stack of books fall on my head. I was trying to adjust the lighting a little bit behind me, and it nudged this tall stack of books that was right adjacent to it and very unwisely placed. And the result was that like several very heavy volumes fell directly on my head. So that's how I'm doing right now. Also, I just noticed we're up to 400 subscribers on YouTube, which I've been watching that for, I think it's been like a year since it hit 300, so I guess a milestone has been reached. How's everybody doing, chat? I was thinking, since we just were given the whole shitfuckery going on around Israel and Iran and Trump's fucking trifling ass, that hello River Rune, maybe we might go check in on our Zionist jabronis. And I was rewarded for this idea by this video title. This is from TravelingIsrael. You'll remember him last week. He's completely full of shit in a really remarkable sort of a way, where he does pro-Israel propaganda like it's 1999 and you could still get away with a lot of things. He was explaining to us, oh yeah, my head's fine. My head's fine. I didn't get hit that hard. They didn't fall from that far, but it was impressive, and I'm gonna have to like restack them. But he was explaining to us that Iran really is a warlike and belligerent country because they got attacked by Iraq. And that, I mean, you can tell how bad Iran is because Iraq also used chemical weapons against them in that war and killed like a few million people. I mean, a few 100,000 anyway. Not sure of the exact death toll. But he sort of left out the bit where Iraq started it. That's TravelingIsrael. But anyway, apparently the Guardian tried to silence him for defending Israel. That sounds like a likely story to me. But he is not backing down. Wow, yeah, I mean, that's one thing. If you know the Guardian is such an anti-Zionist publication with fucking Jonathan Friedland vetoing anything that makes Israel look bad. Okay, where's my chat widget? That's the wrong chat widget. There we go. Okay, just having to adjust things because now I have this light in my eye. Yeah, okay. Here we go. We're gonna find out how Traveling Israel got censored for defending Israel. Because that's a thing that happens. Oh, shut up, ads. I hate this thing where ad block gets paused. Yeah, here we go.
2 days ago, I uploaded a video responding to a documentary The Guardian released about the Green Line. Apparently,
It was not a documentary about the Green Line. It was a
they
documentary.
filed a copyright claim and had my video taken down. Now, let me be clear. Copyright laws.
Okay, the Guardian. Okay, first of all, this was he's talking about The Settlers, which is a really good documentary and just shows how vile and racist these assholes in the West Bank are, and how depraved their response to the genocide in Gaza, which they seem to view as a spectator sport, is. I mean, so you can see why he would be finding it awkward. But okay, so here we go.
It's all important. Artists deserve credit and revenues for their work, whether it is music, animation, or film. But some, like The Guardian, use these laws not to protect creativity, but to silence criticism.
Now I'm very curious about this video that supposedly that got taken down for copyright, because like people have definitely actually done response videos to The Settlers and not had them taken down. So yeah, I'm not buying this. Like, did he watch the entire thing and just do an XQC where he sort of sits there in the room and does nothing?
One of the most beautiful things about YouTube and social media in general is that someone can post a video in India and someone across the world, let's say in Wisconsin, can respond to it.
Yes, it is beautiful. Like, he can post his inane bullshit in occupied Palestine, and I can respond to it over here in occupied Turtle Island.
And when you respond to a video, it only makes sense to show the parts you're talking about.
Okay, with you so far. Yes, that is generally the way that response videos work.
There are hundreds of channels.
I will say, a friend of mine actually uploaded the entire documentary to a burner YouTube channel just to make it more broadly available, and was actually doing fucking numbers, probably breaking some sort of record for most subscribers and views of a brand new channel. But of course the channel got taken down, and so did the video.
With clips from my videos. Some supporting me, some criticizing me.
Okay. Yes.
A few of those critical videos have
Traveling Israel is a liar, true.
reached hundreds of thousands of views. Sometimes I respond, and sometimes I don't have the time.
And other times it's just too embarrassing to respond.
But I will never file a copyright strike to remove a video that criticizes me. I won't let...
Yeah, I mean, first of all, that's really big of you not to abuse the copyright law, because like what you're describing is literally just a legal thing to do. Using part of a copyrighted work for the purposes of criticism is kind of a textbook example of what's called fair use in the U.S. and goes by other names in different places.
The Guardian silenced my criticism of their attack on Israel. So I'm uploading the video again. This time, instead of showing clips from the...
Okay, let me take this back. I want to see these fucking...
Do it again. This time...
Can I ask you a question? We're looking for the green line. Do you know where the green line is? Like, is the idea here... what is it? What the fuck is the idea here? I mean, is he trying to point out that Israel has already de facto annexed the occupied West Bank, and to the extent that people don't even know where it starts? Because I don't think that's a point that really helps him.
And instead of showing clips,
It doesn't exist. All of Israel is our land. Like, I mean,
from their video,
how can you have your next door neighbor saying, I want to have a safe house right next door to you, and also I want to kill you, and I want to drive you into the sea? Well, I don't know, maybe you should ask Palestinians in the West Bank, because that's a problem that they've been having to deal with quite a lot, actually, in, like, the last 80-odd years.
I will be voicing over their characters myself. But before we
Oh god, he's gonna be doing voice acting? Jesus.
to that, a quick note for those who saw the original video. I often talk about the strange connection between parts of the Western left and the Muslim world.
The strange connection being something called solidarity, which it turns out, Zionist Settler Society, not long on. I mean, it's really was remarkable in the 12 days of them attacking Iran and Iran showing them why that's a bad idea. Just how quickly the entire society started just breaking down, even just fundamental things like fighting each other over shelters when there was plenty of fucking space in the shelters. Like, I mean, and you compare that to, say, Gaza, where under much more unfavorable circumstances it has taken way longer to see any significant sign of, like, a breakdown in sort of social norms. And even then, it's still, it's being reported as isolated incidents, although described as very alarming ones. And all it took was the realization that they're not fucking invincible and that they can't just go and bomb a country that has an air force and has a ballistic missile stockpile with total impunity to have them just at each other's throats.
One value they seem to share is a deep discomfort with criticism. What do communist or semi-communist states like North Korea, China, and Russia?
That's not North Korea. That's China. And also, what the hell is a semi-communist state? I mean, I feel like he just made that up in order to put Russia in there. One of Israel's leading trading partners, worth noting. But, like, Russia isn't even whatever the hell a semi-communist state is. In fact, if you look at Andrei Rudoy, he has this channel called Viesnik Puri. It's in Russian, mostly not. As far as I know, I thought there were English subs on some of his videos, but it turns out they're not. And he did these two videos where it was looking at history textbooks in Ukraine and in Russia. And the degree to which the Soviet Union is demonized in modern Russia, I mean, it's not just that they don't claim to be any kind of communist. The level of demonization of the Soviet Union in their regular school textbooks is extreme. More extreme than you would find in the US or Western Europe, where that demonization is fairly comprehensive as well.
Have in common with Islamic regimes like Iran and Afghanistan. On the surface, they are totally different, but both pen criticism of the government and of religion.
Yeah. Now, remind me what your military censor does. Because, I mean, Israel actually arrests people for... They announced, actually before this video came out, they had announced they would be arresting people for watching Al Jazeera. For watching it. Not for broadcasting for it. For watching it. So, yeah, I mean, free speech paradise. Really. Free speech paradise right there.
And it doesn't matter if it is Muhammad or Mao. Criticism is off limits. And now, Western leftist organizations are adopting that same mentality. Whether it is student groups in the US...
Wait, I mean, he's showing Mahmoud Khalil's picture? Like, yeah, because he's the one who was violating free speech. Not, say, the people who locked him up in a fucking dungeon in Louisiana for 3 whole fucking months. Because he protested against the genocide?
Or the Guardian. They don't have the power of governments, but they will shame you, cancel you, and try to silence you.
Well, see, the thing is, here's the thing. Nobody shames this guy enough. And the way I can tell is, he does not seem the slightest bit embarrassed to be as completely full of shit as he is.
I looked into the Guardian a bit. A few months ago...
He looked into the Guardian a bit, so he's never heard of it before? Oh, Welsh whiskey. Maverick okay, I'm not familiar with Maverick Distillers, but I will say, if you get a chance, if you like whiskey, Welsh whiskey is actually really good. I didn't know it existed. It's a fairly recent development that they distill whiskey in Wales, but I find it delightful.
Respected food and drink journalist named Henry Jeffries wrote about the world's best and most unique whiskies. But when the article was published in The Guardian, the section about milk and honey, the award-winning Israeli whiskey, was removed. It is not just that...
Okay, well, now I'm curious. Milk and honey removed. First of all, the Guardian restored this whiskey, but I'm curious. I mean, was this produced in the occupied West Bank? Is that the issue? Here, let me see. I'm trying to find out where is this. I'm trying to find where this is. Oh no, okay. It's in Jaffa, in so-called Tel Aviv. Okay, so that okay, that's interesting because I mean I would not actually have been expecting the Guardian to take something out because it was made in the occupied West Bank, but so that just sounds like there was a mistake someplace, or possibly somebody removed it without actual approval from the higher ups because it did get put back.
That they can't handle criticism. They erase you completely. Whenever I post a response to a video, I include a link to the original video in the description or comments, so you can judge for yourself. I will also say that...
Yeah, I mean, if you judge for yourself, it won't take very long to realize just how...
To me, freedom of speech is more than just criticizing others and allowing others to criticize.
Wait, okay, so he's saying that acknowledging the Deir Yassin massacre and the Nakba, that's just about freedom of speech? As opposed to just literally, I mean, it's not an opinion, it's literally just facts. I mean, yeah, that does fall under freedom of speech, pointing out documented facts. But that's not the only grounds on which you need to be willing to defend that. It's literally just historical reality.
You. Think about it. Why is Israel so successful while so many of its Muslim neighbors are not?
Well, I mean, part of it is that Israel keeps occupying their Muslim neighbors. And how are we defining successful exactly? Because I have to say, Israel's not looking very successful lately. I mean, they've got massive brain drain. They've got one bankrupt port. They've got another port on the way to bankruptcy. And like half the country, half the settler population wants to leave. Israel actually had to ban them leaving in order to keep them in the country. I mean, honestly, I've heard of bigger success stories.
On paper, the Arab countries should be way ahead. Huge populations, shared language and culture, natural resources like oil, and a prime location between East and West.
I mean, I wonder if it's anything to do with the massive U.S. subsidies.
And then there is Israel. Tiny, surrounded by enemies, And as Golda Meir famously said, Moses dragged us through the desert for 40 years just to bring us to the only place in the Middle East with no oil.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. There is natural gas, though. Off the Gaza coast, there is natural gas, and of course Israel is illegally developing it.
Somehow we have succeeded. I believe one key reason is this.
The incarcerated menorah? Is that a mark of success?
Freedom. Freedom of speech.
Oh wow, yeah. Freedom of speech, that is definitely something that there is in Israel. Where the place with the open military censorship, where literally people like this guy, I mean, do not realize how effective Iran's counterattacks were, because it is illegal in Israel to talk about what places got hit. You can't show the footage of it getting hit. In fact, they actually, I mean, the cops arrested film crews for just filming the night sky in the country during Iranian airstrikes. That's the freedom of speech here. I mean, and that's before we get into things like Palestinians watching Al Jazeera.
Freedom of thought, the freedom to doubt, to question, to criticize the government,
to question,
and to do all of that without violence.
Oh yeah, I mean it's such a non-violent society too.
To me, is one of the main reasons Israel has succeeded, and the Muslim world has not. In one,
I mean, could it possibly be something to do with the fact that all of those countries were wrecked by colonialism, and Israel is colonialism?
The Guardian's video, published 2 weeks ago, already has over 2 million views. I will never match those numbers, unless...
Thank fuck.
You help me. So...
I mean, like, help him write better scripts, help him fact-check his stuff, help him sound a little bit less whiny and annoying when he talks. Like, I mean, I'm guessing the name Traveling Israel is because he fancies himself some kind of tour guide. But would you want to be walked around town as a tourist by this guy? I mean, just constantly whinging?
Please subscribe, comment, share, and spread the word.
I mean, I guess I'm spreading the word.
The re-uploaded video with voiceovers instead of the clips. Let's make sure the Guardian doesn't get the last word. Matthew Castle, a reporter for The Guardian, started a new...
Oh, okay. This is not what I thought it was. This isn't The Settlers. This is a different thing entirely.
...series about the Green Line. He didn't invite me to be part of it.
Wow, that's such a shock. Why wouldn't he do that? I mean... Could it possibly be that there's just no shortage of racist assholes with no knowledge of history in the area that he could have asked?
I won't lie. I was a bit...
he won't lie. He has to tell you that in advance because it might shock you.
Offended.
Hey, Adrian.
I got over it and decided to join him anyway. Let's begin. Can I ask you a question? We're looking for the Green Line. Do you know where the Green Line is?
He's really gonna do it this way? Jesus. This is actually manages to be crapper than one of his normal videos.
It doesn't exist. All of Israel is ours. Did the Green Line used to exist? You don't recognize the Green Line? There is no Green Line? God gave us Israel, all of it. Reporting in the Middle East for over 20 years, I've seen the conflict between Israel and Palestinians deepen, shift, and return to the same painful question again and again. The first...
Like... Why did you need that last bit in there in the first place?
30 seconds, you already get the entire message of the video.
Okay.
The first thing you see is a religious Jew saying, God gave us Israel. All of it.
We were there. It was like 2 minutes ago. You don't need to remind us.
Arab man from East Jerusalem eating ice cream with his wife and daughter.
Like, so what?
While an armed Israeli policewoman stands in the background. That's called framing. They set the tone for the whole video. The religious Jew is portrayed as a messianic fanatic,
I mean, it sounds like he is one, though. I mean, it doesn't sound...
blind to geopolitical reality, while the Arab is the oppressed victim.
No, like... Okay. And they're communicating the fact that he's the oppressed victim, which, I mean, let's remember, this is the Guardian we're talking about. They are a very pro-Israel paper. It takes, I mean, the amount of hand-wringing they will do before they will admit that Israel's done something bad is epic. So, the idea that they would be trying to frame this as the Palestinians are oppressed, which, I mean, would be accurate... That's not the Guardian. And also, you wouldn't... Now, okay, I am not an Academy Award-winning cinematographer. I have never directed a film that made it to the Cannes Film Festival, and so help me out, chat. Is this visual language where eating ice cream with your family on the public square is a symbol of how oppressed you are? Is that a thing? Because it feels like that's not a thing to me. I don't feel like seeing a picture of somebody eating ice cream tells me they're oppressed. I think knowing that they're Palestinians living under occupation means that they're oppressed.
Just trying to enjoy some ice cream with his family, holding them close as if to protect them from the threatening...
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that the image of I didn't see the cop there. I was looking at the ice cream people. Yeah, that does... Okay, that does kind of give a very, actually, subdued picture of the situation, yes.
This woman behind it. In a minute I will dive into the video and debunk it with you. But let's start with what matters most, the framing, the narrative. I picked up the Guardian's YouTube channel, and saw lots of videos critical of Israel. The imprisoned Israelis refusing military service in Gaza, the Gaza girl whose face was ripped off by an Israeli missile strike. Little Gaza inside the fight for the West Bank, and many others.
I'm going to reject the notion that these are all uniformly critical of Israel. Because again, it's the Guardian. They will be doing some serious both sidesing.
But let me tell you what I didn't see. I didn't see a single video about the biggest conflict in the Middle East, the war in Yemen.
Because it's over. And that was the biggest conflict in the Middle East before the fucking ceasefire? The reason if you go back to 2022 or before that, and then you will probably see videos about it. But yeah, I mean, it is actually true that got downplayed in Western media for a very simple reason, namely that the aggressor against Yemen was the US acting through Saudi proxies.
How is it possible that made dozens of videos of Israel, but not even one about Yemen?
Okay, now I'm curious. We're going to go to the Guardian YouTube channel. And I just want to see. I'm going to just do a search for Yemen. Okay, the Guardian. Because I'm fairly certain... Okay, there we go.
Good morning, East City.
Okay, here we are. Guardian News, Yemen. Okay, so... Yemen's Houthis release video of hijacked cargo ship. Thousands protest in Yemen after US-UK strikes on Houthi targets. And note that they're just calling them that. They're civilian targets in Yemen have been targeted. Trump orders U.S. strike against Yemen's Houthis, which is, again, this is the Guardian, so they're pretending that these strikes against civilians in Yemen. Okay. So, so what he's saying here is just a complete lie. We've got tons of videos on the Guardian channel about Yemen. Okay, 4 years ago, why Yemen's civil war is about to get worse. Signal chat leak on Yemen attack a mistake, says U.S. National Security Director. Smoke rises from Yemen after U.S. airstrikes hit Houthi targets. Okay. We will not hesitate. American attack will lead to greater response, says Houthi leader. Right now, what we're talking about, okay, this is a video by TravelingIsrael. And he said he just couldn't understand why the Guardian YouTube channel doesn't have any videos about the war in Yemen. The civil war that basically, for all intents and purposes, ended in 2022. And he said he couldn't find anything about Yemen. So we're looking at the Guardian's YouTube channel at the huge number of Yemeni videos about Yemen. I noticed we've got, for example, Israeli strike hits international airport with WHO chief inside. I'm beginning to see why it is that that TravelingIsrael prefers to pretend that there are no videos on it. Yeah, I mean, actually, there are tons of fucking videos about Yemen on the Guardian YouTube channel. What the fuck are you talking about, you jabroni?
Humanitarian catastrophe and the deadliest war in the region.
And it's not the deadliest war in the region, though. I mean, not even close. Israeli fascist finance minister Beelzebub Ostrich actually just sort of offhand admitted that Israel it estimates that they've murdered 400,000 people at least in Gaza. That's actually, in 2 years. That's that's 2/10 a year, basically. I mean, actually, not even 2 years yet. So more than that. As a ratio, there's nothing that is this deadly going on except maybe Sudan, although I'm not entirely sure about that.
Big 10 times more casualties than the war in Gaza, but not a war. The Guardian is...
I mean, and there are all sorts of other wars that aren't currently happening right now that the Guardian isn't spending time on. Like, I mean, they don't have any videos about the War of 1812. Do you know that? No videos about the War of 1812. They burned down the White House in that, and there's no fucking videos because the Guardian is obsessed with Israel, and so they're obsessed with things that are currently happening, as opposed to things that happened like 200 years ago.
It's obsessed with Israel, and by the way, it is not just the Guardians that are obsessed with Israel. The audience seems obsessed too.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe that's because all sorts of horrible shit is being done by Israel.
The anti-Israel videos get the most views by far. This video, which was uploaded just 2 weeks ago, already has over 2 million views. The next one in the series, updated only 2 days ago, has hundreds of thousands. Their other videos, barely a tenth of that. As the saying goes.
Well, I mean, the other video that he was looking at was about some indigenous people along the Amazon, and the other one is about an extremely topical thing about a current genocide that is really that is dominating people's attention in general because of just how depraved it was. There's a big difference between something that is, about breaking news and something that is not framed that way.
No Jews, no views.
No Jews, no views. But, I mean, then why is it... You've got 100%... I mean... Wait. This channel has Jews and it doesn't get views. Well, I mean, it has one. But that's as many as this jabroni's channel has.
No views, no money. I also didn't see a single video criticizing anything about Muslim societies.
Oh, really?
I live far from England, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you just...
Oh, wait, didn't you just? He's talking about the Rotherham grooming gang? That's like 10 years ago now. That is, and I hate to point this out because this might, I mean... seem a little bit obvious, but that happened in Rotherham. That happened in England, not in Muslim societies. And actually, it was a Muslim who blew the whistle on it.
A scandal involved Pakistani men and young girls. And weren't there some Islamist terror attack too?
Like, he's talking about shit that happened 10 years ago, and he's like, why isn't this dominating the headlines right now? Wasn't there a German blitz on London? Why is there no videos in The Guardian about that?
Targeting girls who just wanted to dance? The Guardian is left, so you would expect...
I mean, no, it doesn't. It is centrist bullshit. In fact, they endorsed a Tory the last year.
Something about women's rights or LGBTQ rights in Muslim countries?
Except they're anti-LGBTQ rights. The Guardian is viciously anti-trans in particular.
Chris, if one of the reporters can go to Gaza and make a video series criticizing...
Their reporters can't go to Gaza, though, because Israel won't allow them. Yeah, I've actually... I saved that video to look at.
Israel surely can cross into Egypt, a country of 100 million, where more than 80% of women have their cut off to prevent them enjoying...
This fucking guy.
This is sick.
I mean, I'm not even going to bother fact-checking that. That does not sound right. But, like... the fact that he's just so obsessed with it, about just talking about literally anything, he very clearly is a bit unclear on what a newspaper is about, like what news is, because he keeps on bringing up things from years ago, and it's like, why isn't this dominating the headlines today?
Reporting about it doesn't fit the Guardian's agenda, and you don't need to go that far. About 50% of Muslims in the UK believe
that's not what this says. I mean, read your fucking headline there, Traveling Israel. A student blog claims this. It isn't as being stated as a fact. It's being stated as something that a student blog claims. When reading the, let me just read with me, chat. When reading this headline for the first time, there is an instant sense that it is unlikely to be true. The headline is claiming that half of all Muslims in the UK believe homosexuality should be illegal and teachers shouldn't be gay. However, when reading further into the article, it is clear that the sample collected is not representative of the whole Muslim community due to the fact that they only surveyed 1,000 people. This is a very small survey that can't be used to generalize a whole group of people.
homosexuality should be illegal.
Nee, das Gefühl habe ich noch nie gehabt.
Strange that the Guardian doesn't have an opinion on that.
Well, like, did you look at the thing that you showed it to us? Did you look at it? Because it doesn't say what you say it says. It says a student blog claimed this and immediately says that this does not sound accurate. So maybe that's why the Guardian didn't run with that headline, actually.
That last note before we dive into the actual video, the Guardian shows a strong title, God gave us Israel, all of it.
Yes, it's a quote from the fucking film.
That's a powerful framing. And sure, there are a few million Jews around the world who believe God gave them.
Actually, you'll find that there are a few million right in the entity, and in fact there are enough of them that they dominate the current government, actually. So maybe this isn't so much an around the world thing as it is in the settler colony of the Zionist movement thing.
A tiny piece of the Middle East. I don't usually go God in my videos, Everyone has their own God, and anyone can claim whatever they want in God's name.
I mean, he claims anything he wants in the state's name.
I've been a tour guide in Jerusalem for over 10 years. I've heard it all. What can't be denied is that Jews have a 3,000-year-old connection to Jerusalem. It was the capital of the Jewish people about 1,500 years before Islam even existed.
For a very brief time, it's worth noting. I mean, if you actually look at the archaeological and historical record, Jews have spent way more time living outside of Palestine than we ever spent living in it.
That's not religion. It's history and archaeology.
Yeah, like, who gives a shit, though? I mean, if you go back 1,500 years, Hungary was in the Urals, for example. I mean, does that mean that Hungarians have a right to just sort of... I'm not sure the exact location they migrated from, but probably something that is currently part of Russia. Like, does that mean they have a right to just colonize that now? Who cares? Lots of people were in different places 1,000 years ago.
Wants a really powerful title. How about God gave us, Muslims, the entire world?
You would have to find an actual quote.
Hundreds of millions of Muslims, including many in Britain, believe that Islamic law, Sharia, should rule the world.
Like, if you actually had some significant person saying it, like we're talking about a fifth of the world's population. If a fifth of the world's population really believed that as a practical matter, not just, not just in the sense of, say, Islam rocks, and therefore it would be great if everybody sort of went along with it, but obviously that's not going to happen because people have different beliefs, or something like that, but actually genuinely believed that it should conquer the entire world, that would already be happening, because that's a huge number of people. It's bullshit. This is, it is just more racist bullshit.
But the Guardian won't tell you that.
Yeah, the Guardian won't tell... I think the Guardian will tell you that there are, like, hardcore reactionaries in the Muslim community. I think they will probably point that out. Just like there are hardcore reactionaries in all sorts of communities.
In 1949, to separate Israel from the West Bank and Gaza, it was seen as a boundary.
That's already weird framing. It wasn't drawn to separate Israel from the West Bank and Gaza. It was drawn as part of an armistice after the Nakba, and after a standstill had been reached between Israel and the Arab states that had come in to intervene humanitarianly to stop the ethnic cleansing of Palestine.
Says, shown in 1949 to separate Israel from the West
Yeah,
Bank
well, we know that he says that. We just saw him say it. You don't need to repeat it.
and Gaza. Who drew it? God drew the green line?
Oh, well, no. It was an armistice. It was a ceasefire line. One that Israel did not respect.
If you are doing a whole series of the green line, maybe spend a second explaining how it was actually created.
Like, who cares? The point...
Let me feeling what Matthew didn't forget is just hiding it.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this. What is he hiding? What's the secret sauce?
And if you truly didn't know this after 20 years, that's even worse. The green line was...
If you don't know the origin of the green line by now...
The armistice between Israel and Jordan, drawn in 1949.
Yeah, so what? Like, this doesn't actually help your case.
After Israel's War of Independence. That war,
which also known as the Nakba.
began after the UN decided to partition British mandatory Palestine into a Jewish and an Arab state.
Yes, without ever asking the indigenous population whether they were okay with that.
Neither sides loved the idea, but the troops accepted.
That's not true, actually. I mean, if you read Ben Gurion at the time, he was saying, we're not accepting this. We just see it as a stage on the way to the ultimate conquest of all of Palestine.
The Arab rejected it and launched a war to exterminate the Jews.
That's not how that happened either. He's just skipping the Nakba.
Strongest army at the time, Jordan. You might think Jordan, they are weak, but their army was trained, funded, armed, and commanded by the British.
Which is also true of the Zionist death squads, it's worth noting.
Don't believe me? Look at Colonel John Cabot. He led Jordan's army in 1948. And here is what most people don't know. Jordan was a colonial state created by Britain.
Wait till you hear about Israel. I mean, if we're just denying the legitimacy of colonial states created by Britain, how did Zionism get a foothold in Palestine again?
The British told a tribe from Western Saudi Arabia, help us fight the Ottomans and we will give you a country. That's Jordan. And during the war, Britain helped Jordan fight Israel. So if the Green Line was seen as the boundaries of a possible two-state solution, then why wasn't a Palestinian state created between 1948 and 1967? The Arabs had 19 years to build one.
Well, probably in part because Israel was continuing ethnic cleansing, because actually nobody had any obligation to just sort of let the colonizers have the bit that they had taken by force. And also, Israel was not allowing that.
Why didn't they? Because the Arab goal was never a Palestinian state alongside Israel, but an Arab state instead of Israel. Matthew hides that too.
I mean, it hides in the sense that it's not actually entirely accurate, and therefore he wasn't saying it.
And he doesn't ask the Arabs any tough questions.
Like what tough questions? What tough questions would you like them to answer?
For a brief moment in this entire video, the truth actually come out, spoken by an Orthodox Jewish woman. How could you have your next door neighbor saying, I want to have a safe house right next door to you, and also I want to kill you and I want to drive you into the sea?
Yeah, I mean, that is a really difficult situation. That very accurately describes the situation of Palestinians who are being increasingly ethnically cleansed out of the West Bank. I mean, like, Jenin is being just systematically dismantled. Kalandia, Tulkarm, Nir Shams. Like, I mean, this is happening right near where he is. I mean, if he's in Al-Quds, as he says, then, I mean, there's no way he is unaware of this.
10 seconds of pure truth. Arabs have never accepted Jewish sovereignty in the land of Israel.
Well, actually, that's also, first of all, that's not true. Second of all, it's not Jewish sovereignty, it's Zionist sovereignty. Most Jews don't live there. And Jewish sovereignty as a concept doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Third of all, why exactly should they accept somebody else, like, forming a country on their land and kicking them out?
No matter how big or small. That's why they've always said no. Before the Green Line, after the Green Line. Before 48, after 67. Where were the top 3 Arab leaders from mandatory Palestine in the early 1940s? In Nazi Germany, they called...
No. Oh, he's doing a Holocaust denial here. He's doing a Holocaust denial. See, Netanyahu follows this conspiracy theory that is fairly recent. I mean, like, I think the last 30 years. That claims that the British imposed Mufti of Jerusalem was the one who convinced Hitler to do the Holocaust. That Hitler didn't want to do it, but fucking the Mufti convinced him. Netanyahu has outright said this. It is a complete lie. And of course, the thing that is totally left out here is that the Mufti was not elected by the Palestinians. They elected somebody else, and Britain overrode it.
Called for the extermination of the Jews in the land of Israel and across the Arab world. That was before the partition plan. For most of those I asked, the Green Line no longer exists in Jerusalem, and hasn't for a long time. In many ways, the erasure of the Green Line began in 1967, when Israel occupied the Gaza Strip and the West Bank.
Okay, this is just facts. So very clearly, Traveling Israel is going to have a problem because he hates facts. He hates facts. Maybe he's going to complain that this guy isn't talking about something that isn't happening right now. Like, I don't know, the Mongol invasion of China.
Included here in this Jerusalem. So why are the evil Israelis erasing the Green Line?
Well, it's called land theft, colonialism, white supremacism. Like, they want the fucking land, and most of the water resources in historic Palestine are in the West Bank.
Because the Green Line marks the ethnic cleansing of Jews from the old city of Jerusalem.
No, it doesn't. That literally doesn't.
And the denial of Jews' access to their holiest site.
That's not true either, because Palestinian Jews had no problem. Palestinian Jews, in fact, were really fucked off at the Zionists for fucking up their relationships with their Christian and Muslim neighbors.
In 1880, more than half of the residents of the old city were Jewish. But during the series of pogroms while the British ruled the land, Arabs attacked Jews in 1920, 21, 29, and again during the Arab Revolt from 36 to 39. Many Jews...
It's worth noting they're not talking about Palestinian Jews here, who were under attack by Zionists. They're talking about colonizers.
Jews were forced to flee. The worst came in 1948, when the old city fell to the Jordanian army under British command.
So, okay, we're talking about 48 again, and we're still not talking about the Nakba.
Failed. After the war, Jews weren't allowed to visit the Western Wall or the Temple Mount. Imagine if Muslims were banned from Mecca.
I mean, Muslims are banned from Al-Aqsa, which is like the third holiest site, and Israel keeps on threatening to just destroy it and build a shul on top of it. So, I mean, you don't need a hypothetical there.
Would they feel? In 1967, Jordan attacked Israel and lost.
That's not what happened either. I mean, literally nobody claims this. Israel attacked in 1967. The claim, like Israel's claim, is that it was a preemptive strike. The problem is, as military historians have pointed out, there's no evidence that there was an impending strike. Like, they attacked the Air Force of Jordan and Egypt on the ground. It was totally a war of colonial expansion by the Zionists.
Israel liberated Jerusalem.
I wonder if the people who lived there felt that way. Maybe you could talk to them.
So no, we're not giving the holiest place in Judaism back to those who ethnically cleanse us from it.
Yeah, no, that's not what happened.
And denied us access. And this wasn't the only place it happened. In Hebron, the second holiest site
Al-Khalil, as it was known for much longer.
Judaism, Arabs did the same in 1929. And here is the twist. Israel didn't take revenge.
I mean, Israelis are just such easygoing fuckers. They're like capybaras. They never get pissed off about anything.
Didn't do to the Arabs what they did to us.
I mean, that's true in the sense that the Palestinians actually repeatedly tried when Zionist colonization began. They did actually kind of try to live alongside them until it became very clear that the Zionists wanted nothing to do with them and were systematically trying to push them out of their country. One Zionist leader in the early days of this said that they were trying to do a peaceful conquest by just economically marginalizing Palestinians.
Today, Muslims pray freely on the Temple Mount.
That's a lie. In fact, Israel regularly just closes it off so that Palestinians can't worship there. And it's worth remembering again, we're talking about the third holiest site in Islam.
Arab residents of Jerusalem move around the city freely.
That's also not true. And also, it's very interesting how he puts that. He has to put it that way, because the thing is, Palestinians from the West Bank, from like adjacent areas, have to get a pass in order to go to Al-Quds. In order to go to their capital, they have to get a pass. They're not allowed to just go in there, and Israel arbitrarily denies them. So, and it's worth noting that Israel also systematically finds all sorts of excuses to kick Palestinians out of occupied East Jerusalem.
But I, as a Jew, can't walk safely in some Arab neighborhoods of East Jerusalem.
I mean, I think that's more because you're an asshole.
I will get stoned. For Palestinians,
I mean, it sounds like he's stoned right now.
many of whom were displaced from Western Jerusalem during the...
Like, I mean, he's trying to paint the Guardian as so anti-Israel. Look at the way this describes the Nakba. For Palestinians, many of whom were displaced from Western Jerusalem during the creation of Israel in 1948. Like, not the systematic ethnic cleansing of all of historic Palestine, but just the creation of Israel in 1948. Like, it was just sort of a side thing that happened.
Of Israel in 1948, the ongoing occupation is a painful reminder of the loss of their most important city. When did they lose Jerusalem? First of all, there are hundreds of thousands of Arabs in Jerusalem today. Jews didn't expel them after
Yeah, actually, they're continuing to be expelled.
the Six-Day War. Again, we didn't do to them what they did to us.
I mean, this is just such a fucking... The level of Darvo that's going on here is actually dizzying.
Second, when was Jerusalem ever Palestinian?
For most of its fucking history, actually. Like, yeah, okay, so it was the capital of Judea for about 500 years, more than 2,000 years ago. And for the rest of the time, actually, it was Palestinian. Like, that just totally uncontroversially.
I'm a tour guide. I know the history.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, back off, man. I'm a tour guide. I know the history.
The Ottomans, the Turks, were Jerusalem.
So what?
Crusaders ruled it, Jews ruled it, and Jews are the ones who made Jerusalem into Jerusalem. When exactly was it the capital of the Palestinian kingdom?
So what he's doing is saying that because Palestinians never had a sovereign state of their own, they don't get to have one. Which is kind of interesting, because if you apply that to Zionists, you can more or less just sort of... that sorts out the issue of Israel fairly quickly.
Give me a year. Give me the name of a Palestinian king who ruled from Jerusalem.
Oh, shut the fuck up. This is so stale. Like, he does not update his talking points at all.
And about those who fled, were expelled, or left Jerusalem in 1948, here is something...
Fled, expelled, or left. Yeah, some of them just, were like, maybe we'd like to just check some other place out.
Important. Matthew, please sit down. This might shake your worldview.
Oh, he's gonna shake our worldview, chat. Are you ready? Are you ready to have your worldview shaken?
If you start a war and you lose, you are not the victim.
Okay, but that's not what happened. The Palestinians never attacked Europe. The Palestinians never attacked Britain, that Britain could just justify invading Palestine and giving part of it to the Zionist movement. And he's just reversing the chronology, of course, because the ethnic cleansing was going on before the war.
I know, shocking. Throughout the video, Matthew keeps repeating the
I
same
mean, okay, so you say if you start a war and you lose, you're not the victim, so, okay, do that with Israel and Iran now. Bueno. El premio Nobel de la Paz es el premio de los asesinos. Y Trump es un asesino, así que sí, se lo ha merecido.
The Jews are irrational, and the Arabs of East Jerusalem are helpless victims. But the lowest
Yeah, I mean, citation needed.
point of the video is when he titles a segment, Destroying the Al-Aqsa Mosque to build a third temple.
He hates this because, again, this is talking about something that Zionist reactionaries in the religious wing of, Zio-fascism explicitly talk about doing.
He interviews an Orthodox Jewish woman who says the third temple will be built where the Dome of the Rock now stands.
I mean, notice he avoids calling it Al-Aqsa. No, hoy en día no. Siempre. Hay pocas excepciones. La mayor parte de la gente que ha ganado el Nobel de la Paz es una manga de chuche su madre. Hay unos pocos buenos, pero la mayoría es chuche su madre, asesino.
Here's the context he doesn't give. Every believing Jew accepts the Bible, believes in the coming of a Messiah.
First of all, I mean, see, this is a fascinating thing, because this is how fundamentalist Christianity and Zionism have just warped Judaism in Palestine, because the idea that Judaism is about belief is nonsense. That is not the tradition. It is about practice. It is about, there's a list of commandments and you do them. And the differences between the various Jewish sects, the various denominations, are which commandments are considered to be important enough that you have to do them, which ones are not are considered kind of optional, which one, and what constitutes compliance and stuff like that. But I mean, he's just basically turning Judaism into evangelical Christianity here.
Resurrection of the dead and the rebuilding of the temple. This idea of the temple being rebuilt is found in the Bible.
Who gives a shit? Lots of things are found there. Like, there's a lot of slavery in the Bible too. You gonna say that's cool?
1,000 years before Islam even existed.
Who cares?
1,000 years before the Dome of the Rock was built. In the book of Isaiah it says...
Well, I mean, again, it's interesting that he refuses to call it Al-Aqsa.
In the last days, the mountain of the Lord's temple will be established, and all nations will stream to it. Many people will come and say, the law will go out from Zion, the word of the Lord from Jerusalem.
Like, who
will
cares?
judge between the nations.
I mean, what? Yeah, this is the religious justification for destroying the third holiest place in Islam. But it's worth noting, see, one of the reasons that Zionists had trouble finding venues in the early days of the movement, which, up until like the mid-20th century really, was precisely that religious Jews did not think that this was something that happened by human agency. They didn't think that you could just, go and colonize Palestine and call it the land of Israel, and that was fulfilling prophecy. Their whole idea was that this stuff just happens, that essentially God is going to do these things, and the time will just be right, and, there will be signs or whatever. I don't quite know the exact details of it, because this is not my denomination that really believes strongly about these aspects of things. But the idea that you could just go and do these things and that would be the prophecy was something that was strongly rejected by religious Jews. It was one of the things they really objected to about Zionism and considered it sacrilegious.
And will settle disputes for many people. They will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into...
I mean, and we should note that this guy clearly is not, he's not from, as we would say. He's clean-shaven. Yeah, clearly not. He clearly very selective about which of the mitzvahs he feels it necessary to do, which is cool. I'm extremely selective myself in that I basically don't pay any attention to them because I'm an atheist. But like, why the fuck do you care? Like, he's clearly not particularly religious. I mean, except to the extent that he seems to have, like, a fundamentalist Christian thing going on.
Crumbling hopes. Nations will not take up swords against nations, nor will they train for war anymore. Yes, Jews have a messianic vision involving the rebuilding of the temple. Sounds like a pretty peaceful vision.
Yeah, but that's the thing. This is not a pretty peaceful vision because they're just talking about fucking going and doing it. Going and destroying Al-Aqsa Mosque and, murdering anyone who wants to do it. And the thing is, there are constant, I mean, going back decades now, constant Israeli provocations involving Al-Aqsa. There was just another one recently. They banned Palestinians from worshipping in Al-Aqsa for the duration of the fighting with Iran.
To be honest. And Christians have their own messianic beliefs. Jesus returning, a great war, so does Islam. Everyone believes they will win in the end.
Yeah, but that's not the point. The people that he's quoting aren't just seeing this as some sort of abstract belief that they have. They want to just go and do it right now. That's the idea.
But to throw that into a video about the Green Line, that's manipulation.
No, because it, again, makes Zionists look like assholes because it's a shitty ideology.
Only very few Jews actually want to destroy the Dome of the Rock. The majority of
why can't you just call it Al-Aqsa?
religious Jews believe the temple will appear when the Messiah comes.
He's right about this. But the thing is, that is the difference between these fanatics that this guy was quoting, who happen to once again be very strongly represented in the current government and the Knesset. The people that he was quoting, that this guy objects to so much, are not expecting that, God is going to make the fucking temple appear. They want to go and blow up Al-Aqsa and build a temple on top of it.
And by the way, do you know who's actually destroying that Temple Mount? The Waqf, the Islamic religious authorities. About 20 years ago, they built a giant mosque up there and brought in bulldozers and trucks that deliberately destroyed 2,000 years of Jewish history.
Actually, okay, fun fact. Israeli archaeologists, the state-backed ones, often use bulldozers to do archaeology because you have to go so deep in there to find anything that even possibly justifies their claim to the area, because they're not interested in any of the stuff that's happened in like the last 2,000 years. They say, because it just goes to show how many other people have called this home well before Zionism was ever a thing.
One of the worst archaeological crimes in history. But Matthew and the Guardian won't talk about that because it doesn't fit the narrative of the Palestinians as victims. And do you know who actually discriminates on the Temple Mount? Muslims.
No. Like, Israel, I mean, just recently, and if he's apparently living in Al-Quds, according to what he says, so there's no way he doesn't know this. They actually, Israel banned Palestinians from worshipping there, not for the first time in the past couple of years, for the duration of the war with Iran.
Hello? With open until 2?
No, not here. The first is from the West Wall.
Okay.
But in 5 minutes it's
Close. And I cannot enter here?
Okay, so these are Palestinians, apparently. They look like Israeli cops. That's so weird that the Palestinians are dressed like Israeli cops. Hey, Badger, how you doing?
For Muslims, there are 10 gates to the Temple Mount. Muslims can enter free from none of them.
I mean, I think he was trying to say 9. which is interesting that it isn't 10. But it sounded like none, and that's about right. Because the thing is, again, the occupations police control the site, and they get to decide who's allowed in there.
At any time. Non-Muslims, 1 gate. A few hours a day, and not every day.
I mean, he's just straight up lying here.
In a World Heritage Site in London or Manchester or Wisconsin or Liverpool, where Christians would enter freely, but Muslims only from 1 gate and with restrictions. There would be outrage. The left would scream racism, discrimination. But when it is Jews and Christians restricted from the Temple Mount,
by Israel again, it's worth noting. It's fucking Israeli cops who are. I mean, he showed this to us. If he was gonna lie about it, he shouldn't have shown it to us. You're not good at this, Traveling Israel. You're really not good at this. You keep on showing us footage that shows that the things you're saying aren't true.
Silence from Matthew and The Guardian. This series from The Guardian, along the Green Line, will likely have more episodes. Not because it is good, but because, as we said, if you trash the Jews, you get views. And most likely, I will have to debunk those two.
I mean, this is him debunking things. It's what you missed. I don't know. Maybe you were just lurking in chat, but he did this thing again where he's like, Why are they talking about Palestine right now? Why aren't they talking about the civil war that was going on a few years ago in Yemen as if it's happening right now? And I decided to just go to the Guardian YouTube channel and see how much they're talking about Yemen. And yeah, they got tons of videos about Yemen, actually. Yemen's been kind of a topic for them. So, I mean, just lying, really in a very easy to uncover way.
So please subscribe and share this video.
No.
As always,
fuck off. Right, okay. Okay, we've got about 10 minutes to go, so Caleb Maupin, who was telling us all about how Trump was going to be the peace guy because peace will make America great again. Remember all that? I mean, he retconned Trump's role in Korea back, in his first term. And all that, and so now this is Caleb's going to try to explain why actually all that was obvious bullshit.
Hello everyone, and thanks for staying with us. I'm St. Louis in London with our continued coverage of the U.S.-Israeli war of aggression against Iran and the Iranian retaliation. The world teeters on the edge of full-scale war. Iran is weighing options about how to respond to U.S. strikes at 3 of its nuclear sites. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says his country reserves all.
I'm skipping ahead here.
To join me in the studio, our very own Sakina Datu, producer and broadcaster, right here with me, and from the United States, Caleb Maupin from the Center for Political Innovation.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing. And this is the thing about RT and Press TV both. They, along with some very worthwhile coverage that they also have about stories sometimes that have been completely buried in the U.S. media, they often are like one of the main stepping stones to a real position in the conversation for just fringe fascists like this asshole.
Who are the Houthis? What are they fighting for? Joining us all the way.
I mean, why the fuck would Caleb know?
Caleb?
Oh, that's right. He took a boat to Yemen once. And Saudi Arabia attacked it just because he was on it.
I want to come straight to you.
No, that's good because he prefers people to come straight.
And I think the latest comment from Trump, contradicting members of his own administration, when they launched this strike on the 3 Iranian nuclear sites, that this was about that and that's it, mission accomplished.
I mean, and what I've been thinking about that and looking at sort of the aftermath of it, and it occurs to me that what could have been going on, what I think might have happened, what that might have been about, is that Trump saw, obviously Trump saw that this thing was not going well for Israel, and it was not going to go well, that it was going to continue to go worse and worse for Israel since their air defenses were running out. And the whole thing was, once again, very embarrassing, much like the U.S. war against Yemen was, that he, walked back. So he does a perfunctory strike against these nuclear sites with bombs that it was already known would not be capable of actually destroying the sites. Like, they don't go deep enough. He did a one-off strike, not sending like several volleys or whatever, not sending like a relay of planes just keeping on dropping the bombs until they're satisfied or until the air defenses kick them out or something like that. Just one off, declares victory, and then claims that there's going to be some sort of a ceasefire, which Iran immediately, several hours later, rebuffed and said, we're not agreeing to anything, but if Israel doesn't attack us, we won't attack them. Because they learned the lesson of these previous ceasefires with Israel, between like Hezbollah and Israel and the Palestinian resistance in Israel, and they see that there's no percentage in like being on the record as agreeing to something when they know only one side will. So I think it was a way to sort of get the U.S. and Israel out of a situation that was increasingly embarrassing for them.
Today, he tweeted that in a post that was shared on social media, saying it's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime?
This is, I hope he asks how this fits in with his presentation of Trump as being this peace guy.
MIGA, M-I-G-A, make Iran great again. Your reaction to that?
Well, it shows that the Trump administration is extremely confused about what it wants to do.
Okay.
You listen to Trump's remarks after the strikes against Iran. The sort of remarks almost... reeked of fear, as if he was trying to please the U.S. military, saying that no other military could carry out these strikes, calling the weapons magnificent.
Yes, he was jerking off on Truth Social.
In absurd terms.
I just turned it up, Badger. Is it sounding better now?
Now the New York Times, as well as immediately...
And if you're hearing an echo, that echo is literally just wherever he is. He's set up his audio setup. He set up his setup in a way that is creating an echo, like he's addressing a great hall.
Afterwards, we had Iranian sources saying that what he's saying about these strikes does not match reality. They did not destroy the uranium enrichment program. These strikes, they simply damaged the entrance and the exits, and Iran evacuated the facilities. These strikes were really not notable.
Like that echo that you're hearing there, that's him. That's not me. I'm hearing that too. Just so anyone like in chat or who's hearing that, or anyone watching the VOD. He's doing that to us. We're hearing his voice twice.
Talking about these strikes in theatrical language, we completely demolished, we wiped out, we completely destroyed, and that's just not what happened.
Again, I mean, he has been, standing Trump on supposed anti-imperialist grounds all this time. And he's... so the best he can come up with here is that Trump's confused. And, I think there is a certain amount of confusion in the administration. Because the thing is, they got the thing that the U.S. and Israel have been talking about for so long, and it went really badly for them. And the trouble is, each time they do one of these things, it's a big, they're doing this, at least in part, to re-establish deterrence. Re-establish them as the bad motherfucker that nobody could fuck with. And each time they do it, everywhere they go lately, it turns out, actually, they're getting their asses kicked. And so it ends up looking worse for them. Oh, sí, Botoma. Eso también. Es varias cosas de las cuales ni una es buena. Y creo que la primera vez que nos vemos acá, Tomás, ¿de dónde te conectáis?
And the facts on the ground just don't match that, according to even Western sources at this point, and that Donald Trump seems determined to try and please certain forces within his administration that are very loyal to Israel. However, he got elected...
Like himself as well.
...on the anti-war ticket.
No, he didn't. No, he fucking didn't. Like, this is how he's trying to this is how he's trying to sort of square this circle. Okay, so, no, he did not get elected on an anti-war ticket. He got elected on saying that he was going to finish the job in Gaza. He didn't, and having... Oh, yeah, I mean, he's pink. He's pink. Like, if he were chicken, you would want to cook him for a little longer. But, Jesus. I mean, in his previous... He attacked Iran, it's worth remembering, in his previous administration as well. He's not the fucking peace guy. But that was what Moppin, the Muppet, felt the need to tell us all. And so he's trying to reconcile that. No, estaba hablando con Tomás.
He appointed a director of national intelligence who was so anti-war and outspoken.
No, she wasn't.
In criticism of U.S. war threats against Iran and U.S. Military destabilization of countries like Syria that she was labeled a Russian agent.
Yeah, I mean, he's always quiet on that stuff. I mean, I don't remember during the entire first Trump administration, I don't think he said a word about that stuff. He never does. I mean, and all that sort of stuff, because he always says that stuff is divisive, because we need to, like, unite with people who are, white supremacists and otherwise suck.
Hillary Clinton. And, she's his director of national intelligence. There's rumors that she may be stepping down. It's not clear what's going on.
I mean, if she has any self-respect, she would be, because, like, he dismissed the entire I mean, one of the things that has been wild about the past week is that since 2007, the official, stated, published opinion of the U.S. intelligence community is that Iran, it's annoying, these two countries both having I names. Iran does not, in fact, have a nuclear weapons program. That has been their position ever since then. It was their position before that. But it got absolutely no coverage. Like, it was just, it got a very brief mention when the NIE in 2007 came out, the National Intelligence Estimate, and that was it. And ever since then, politicians in this country and in Western Europe and in Israel, of course, have just been lying their asses off, pretending that estimate wasn't out there, and the media don't bring it up for the most part. The media don't say shit about it. But this week, suddenly, they dusted it off and it's gotten mentioned. And Tulsi Gabbard, quite correctly, mentioned it as well, said that, the official view of the intelligence community, and it isn't her view specifically, this is the view of the entire intelligence community in the U.S. going back like 18 years at least, is that Iran has no nuclear weapons program. And Trump sort of went along with that, and then he turned around and said, no, the entire intelligence community is wrong, just dismissed the entire intelligence community. So really, she had any self-respect at all, which it seems like she doesn't. She would totally resign in protest over that, because that's, like, I mean, how are you going to work as the head of the intelligence community for a guy who has just said that the entire body that you are there representing in the government is worthless?
Trump doesn't know what he's doing. Now, he's got various people speaking in his ear, telling him one thing, telling him another thing, and he's also quite afraid. And he's trying to keep the military on his side. He's trying to please people that have certain agendas. But if he thinks that he's going to topple the Islamic Republic of Iran, he's completely delusional. Completely delusional. Because at this point, the mission of the Islamic Republic to stand with the oppressed around the world, to oppose Israel and its crimes.
I mean, I have to say, it's like, Iran, there's a lot you can say about Iran, and there's probably a fair bit that they're doing behind the scenes for the Palestinian resistance. Like, in terms of, like, they've been setting up, like, spy cells, because we know this because occasionally they have been caught by the Zionist authorities, and it gets mentioned in the press there. Is there any credibility to the 60% plutonium? Do you mean uranium there? I believe 60% is the figure. They have highly refined uranium, which they wisely moved away. Yeah, I mean, and I think on a certain level, I mean, there is some truth to what he's saying. Trump has no real commitment to anything but himself. And so he is moving back and forth, and you could see him moving back and forth actually in the past week, especially around Iran. But I mean, it's just wild him trying to square this with like all this talk about Trump as the peace candidate, which he never fucking was. But it is time for me to wrap up for tonight. Thank you to everyone for joining in. It's good to see you always. Tomas, let me give you the link to our Discord, so we can keep in touch in between streams. If I can just get the fucking link to show up. Hang on, invite people. We're inviting people. Hello, people. We're inviting you. I will be back tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, and I hope to see you then.